Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever time it is, wherever you are, whoever you might happen to be, and welcome once again to Nerd Week Live, the show in which we, the folks at Nerd Caliber, talk about nerd news that has happened over the past week since the last show. And we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of big topics tonight, lots of trailers, lots of interesting reveals. So before we get into that, I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor in chief of Nerd Caliber, a first person shooter on Facebook, Burley underscore adopter on Twitter. If I remember that you're talking about Twitter and not some other platform, sorry, Lewis. And joining me tonight is the wonderful, the bespectacled Lewis. If you would introduce yourself.
Wonderful brand new spectacles, by the way, that I didn't pay a dime for, and they're Armani. Whatever, I'm
Chap,
bragging because whatever, I don't get to wear.
wicked chap.
Yeah, I don't get to wear good brands anymore. So, but thanks for the introduction and greetings to everyone. It's awesome that you guys are going to be here, have a nice conversation with us. I'm Louis Correa. I'm a co-producer with Nerd Caliber. I also like to assist with a lot of the other things when possible, when schedules align. Uh, thank me for my new job. But
Yes.
anyways, so also we're gonna have
Congratulations.
we gotta thank you. We got a lot of fantastic topics tonight, but this is a live show, folks. So if you want to chime in the conversation, the chats, go right ahead. We do see that with the time allotted, we'll do our best to like have a conversation and include you in it and answer your questions or read your opinions out loud, things like that. So by all means, have at it. Obviously with a little bit of tasteful commentary there. Try not to get out of line. That's for me to do. That's for me to do. But and
And only verbally.
yes. No swear jar because I'd fund Nerd Caliber on my own just on that. But also, my Twitch name is Crash the Stampede. So if you want to pop in, check out some of my streams here and there. I'm going to be going back to a regular schedule fairly soon, so that'll be really cool. And I stream with some other content creators, which I'll blast out on my Twitch and my Twitter at some point in the near future. So by all means, check that out. But let's get it going, Rod.
All right. So before we start talking about our first subject, welcome to some of the people that are already in the chats. Rerum Trading, welcome. Yes, you were first. KZ Williams, welcome to the show. I think whatever's going on, I hope it gets solved. And if you are on Twitch, if you have a Twitch account, please join us at twitch.tv/nerdcaliber. We'd love to have you follow us there. We'd also love to have you interact with us on Twitch. It would be a lot of fun. We're trying to kick our numbers up into the next stage, and having you join us would be one of the best ways to do that. So, we're going to start right off with the news. This is an image from the cover of the first book in Dan Simmons's Hyperion Cantos, the book Hyperion. And the news is kind of weird. Bradley Cooper, of all people, 8-time Oscar nominee, as it points out here, for all sorts of different things, including acting and producing, has launched a new production company with somebody named Weston Middleton. They don't have a name for it yet, but they do have their first project, and that is to create a movie based on the Hyperion books. This company, yet to be named, is going to be the production company behind it. It will be Warner Brothers Motion Pictures that is going to be the main distribution studio behind it. Apparently, this was in production at Sci-Fi as a series. But Cooper et al. Picked it up, and it's now going to be at least a movie, if not multiple movies. It's going to be adapted by Tom Spezialy, who was the executive producer on Watchmen, the HBO series, which was outstanding. If you haven't,
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. I haven't read the books. Greg, who cannot be with us tonight, has. And he likens the challenge of adapting this into a movie to be pretty close to, if not maybe even worse than trying to do Dune. So this will be interesting to see.
I mean, I love Dune, so hopefully this comes out as good, if not better, right?
I would hope so. From what I gather in this description and what Greg has told me, part of the challenge of this is that it moves around between the points of view of 7 people who all think that they are the one who has this, whatever it takes to sort of save humanity from this intergalactic war that is raging everywhere, but they are on this one particularly interesting planet called Hyperion. So
kind of reminds me a little bit in a weird way. It kind of reminds me of that movie Screamers, where like the overall story is that intergalactic battle, but like the war, but like the people on that planet were just completely forgotten and just left to just like kill each other.
I guess. I mean, I can see the comparison. I don't know if there's enough of that, like hand-to-hand battle, challenge on Screamers. Although Hyperion does in fact feature an indigenous creature that is absolutely terrifying. Yeah, all right. I can see the Screamers comparison. By the way, go look that movie up. It's a really high-end B movie. Wouldn't call it A tier, but it's a lot of fun.
Safe B.
Mm-hmm. It's
a safe B.
Yeah. Safe, solid B. With some good science fiction material and acting. So, just out of the gate, landing at Cooper's company, which again still doesn't have a name. No idea when we would actually see anything out of this. I'm guessing it couldn't be any earlier than 2 years.
Yeah, at the bare minimum. Especially with the strikes and all that.
True. Cooper apparently, I didn't realize this. I knew he was producer on A Star Is Born because he was in it. He produced Joker, highest grossing R-rated movie ever. And produced, again, because he starred in it, American Sniper. So he's made some, Oscar-nominated movies as a producer, not just as an actor. So, it's a good sign, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's a good sign.
Still looking to find a director, according to this. Depending on how far out, I'm going to recommend they talk to Denis Villeneuve. Just putting that out there.
Just tweet him real quick. He might be down. He might be like, yeah, that's a great idea, actually.
Yeah, or you could do like, Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and invite him to a birthday party on your yacht in Turkey. But where everybody flew in on their own helicopters. But
send them out into space.
Exactly. Or send them out into space. There you go. Honestly, I think Villeneuve would probably love that. All right, we're talking. So I divided up. Usually what I do is I wind up cramming all of the trailers into one part of our show. I wound up dividing them up so we could talk about them and other things to, bring the show up and down a little bit. This one is, I don't know if this is an up or a down. That is, of course, Jared Leto as Michael Morbius. The trailer for Morbius dropped today. A teaser for that trailer dropped yesterday. And in that teaser was the information that the movie is coming out January 22nd, 2022. So, like in a couple of months. And the teaser was way too much Leto, the actor, talking about what it was like to try to be Morbius. But it ended with this like super cheeky, pretty awful Leto saying about, there's a web of opportunity coming, like, yeah, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
The trailer dropped and there's no question whatsoever.
Did he method act that bullshit too?
It was clearly, he was not talking off the cuff. It was a line written by a marketer. You could tell. But the trailer, there's no question whatsoever. This is an MCU movie. So that's a spoiler. So there's a spoiler in there for Venom, Let There Be Carnage. That I guess I can't talk about, but It cements the fact that it is an MCU movie. Let's put it that way.
Just leave it at that.
Yeah. Well,
Let them be disappointed about the movie, not about us spoiling anything.
Exactly. Honestly, I gotta say, I've not been particularly thrilled about this, even though I really like Michael Morbius as a Spider-Man character. This trailer is a well-done trailer. It got me a little excited.
I don't know, man. Like, I just after Eternals, which I haven't seen yet, but is getting review bombed to shit and gone.
Yeah, well, it's probably getting review bombed. I think it's also getting legit.
Yes,
like,
yes.
reviews.
I mean review bomb as in legitimate getting destroyed, not people being assholes.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, so it's getting review bombed and it's getting really bad reviews, and it's becoming an MCU movie, and I think Mobius is going to go in that. I mean, it's just really hard to take characters that don't have a high level of popularity and make them popular. And that's not to say like Mobius can't, but I'm willing to roll the dice and think that most people who even remember Mobius the vampire from the old 90s.
Every time we bring this up, it's Morbius.
Morbid. Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
So regardless, the vampire, most people would remember him from the made me lose my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
The 90s Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Cartoon where he just sits there and screams Felicia like Cyclops did about Jean in their 90s. But that's the only time like I think I'm betting that most people would remember him from that and only that.
Unless you're my age and you read all of the Morbius comics back, when he first appeared in the early 70s. So that's a fair call. Realistically, I think he's probably, because Spider-Man is so much more well-known, a gigantic international franchise, than the Eternals were, which if you weren't a pretty hardcore Marvel Comics fan, the Eternals meant nothing to you.
Sure. I mean, but it's Spider-Man's franchise,
right,
not his franchise. And therefore, like, some peripheral attachment is fine, but I don't really think they barely ever used him in the comics in recent memory. So like there's nothing really to refresh the audience's memory, even if they were like that hardcore into Spider-Man like lore.
Yeah. Will it bomb? Who knows?
And it's Leto.
It's Leto, so it's probably going to turn an awful lot of people off from going to see it, movie or home theatrical release. It is a Sony picture, so it seems to be that it's going only to movies, only to theaters, I should say.
Blue filter and everything, and Leto's gonna method act, hanging upside down, sucking people off, blood-wise.
Thank you for the clarification. So if you are into it and you want to go see it, January 22nd, folks, I would recommend watching the trailer to get a sense of what it is. But again, there's, the trailer kind of spoils some stuff from some other movies. So, maybe not. So moving on to non-trailer stuff, these are 4 people, 3 of whom you may recognize very clearly, one of whom you might if you've seen Shang-Chi, that are going to be in the enormous cast of the upcoming series adaptation of the book Three Body Problem, or the book series The Three Body Problem. We have, of course, Benedict Wong. We have Tsai Chin, who was in Shang-Chi. We have John Bradley, Sam Tarley himself, and also from Game of Thrones, Liam Cunningham, the Onion Knight, Sir Davos, in this cast. And then 8 other people that they've named. We talked a while ago, I remember talking about this because for some reason they put this out there. Isa, I think I'm going to pronounce her name, Gonzalez, who was in Baby Driver, was one of the first people they announced for this, which made me a little curious because it's predominantly set in China. And it's a story of the daughter of a scientist who, was whose life was ruined by the Cultural Revolution during the Gang of Four period in China, and because of that, she discovers that aliens exist, and she's going to try to help them invade Earth. And an awful lot of other stuff around that, like an awful lot of other stuff. It's a series that's being executive produced, and showrunners are Benioff and Weiss from Game of Thrones. These books, the trilogy, exist as a standalone product, so it doesn't look like they're going to have to write a new ending. So they hopefully won't make this suck as bad as the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones did. And to be fair, as executive producers and showrunners, they did a fantastic job with the seasons prior to that. But they're not writing it anyway. Alexander Wu is also a co-creator of the series and will be the writer. And this is a Netflix series, by the way. I'm intrigued. This is another science fiction book series that is, award-winning and very popular that I have not read, and that Greg has. And again, Greg's not on tonight, so boo, Greg. But I'm intrigued.
Boo this man.
Boo the man. At all, any interest here, Lewis? Anything?
I've never read it, so I don't know much about it.
Yeah, that's pretty much same with me, except that I've read it, some descriptions of it, because it's on like every best science fiction of the last 30 years kind of list. Flareon 420, welcome to the show. So this does not currently have a date for when it drops on Netflix, because they just announced, again, the casting. So, yeah, I'm assuming not 2022, probably later than that.
Probably like 2024, 25, maybe.
It could be. It could be as late as that. Because there's going to be an awful lot of post-production work in this, as well as, handling this enormous cast.
Now into the things I do know about. Huzzah!
Yes. Next trailer, please. Flareon 420. So what are you guys talking about? The show is Nerd Week Live. We talk about nerd news that happened over the past week. And this next topic, this piece of news is the latest trailer of apparently many for the Hawkeye Disney Plus series dropped. It doesn't really add a whole lot to the trailers that have been put out there so far. It adds a little bit more of the tone, which is very much, they're really playing up the fact that this is the tone of the Matt Fraction series.
Which was a phenomenal run. So
absolutely, both from writing and art standpoint, the characters all fantastic. So it's worth looking at. It doesn't really, if you've seen the other Hawkeye trailers, it doesn't add much to the story. It's just another way of them saying, and over Christmas, over the holidays, Hawkeye and Kate Bishop get into trouble and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, all the trailers are really good.
Yep.
I mean, it's a lot of fun. And I will say this, a couple of years ago, when the Matt Fraction run was big and popular and everybody was like really reading it, some friends and I cosplayed Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, that version of Hawkeye. Yep. And I had the dubious honor of cosplaying the Tracksuit Mafia guys. Yes. with a word bubble over my head that would just said bro. And it was the best. Of all my costumes, it was always my favorite.
It was a great costume. It was a great group of you guys, but the Tracksuit Mafia is just so much fun.
Oh, it's so great. And it was a velour tracksuit, so man, that was peak. I found an Adidas one. It was perfect.
Comfiest cosplay ever. I will give you, we do get to see a little bit more of Vera Farmiga, who plays Kate Bishop's mom. And I think that's it. I mean, like, we don't really see much of, they name drop it in this article, Alaqua Cox, who plays Maya Lopez, or Echo, who is going to be getting their own series. So, maybe they're holding off on that a little bit. because it's quite possible that the Ronin character will have something very specific and important to do with the plot of the series. Aside from the fact that there are people hunting down Hawkeye because he was Ronin in between,
going around murdering people
in between, Infinity War and Endgame. Flarian 420, you're a nerd too. Awesome. Yes, we like more nerds. More nerds, please. Anyway, check it out, folks. And of course, we only have to wait until the end of November, November 24th, to see the first 2 episodes. They're going to drop 2 episodes, and then it goes weekly. And yeah, I'm so looking forward to this. All right, this I'm also very much looking forward to, but it is very early days. That is Valzod, the Black Superman on Earth 2. And the news is that Michael B. Jordan's production company is going to be working on what I think is a live-action series. They don't say that specifically, but he's producing it with, so his company, Outlier Society, is producing it with DC Entertainment and Warner Brothers Television unit. Otherwise, it would be Warner Brothers Pictures if it was a movie. An adaptation of the story of Valzod, which I think I can't wait to see this. I also think it's live action because the rumor is out there that Jordan might play Valzod, which would be fantastic, of course. He's wonderful. Great to see him with both a regular character in the MCU and a regular character in DC. That would be fantastic. But again, this article from Deadline doesn't say very specifically that it is, in fact, a live action show. But really looking forward to it. And the people that are the executive producers and they're adapting it, Darnell, I'm going to say Meteor, and Josh Peters have a pretty serious track record. They did American Snow. They've done a pilot, Hannibal, based on the Carthaginian general Hannibal, which apparently has already been picked up. The Nola, with Sam Raimi directing, is sold to Amazon, that sounds like it's a movie. Apple already bought the Hannibal project, and they did Transformers Rise of the Beasts for Paramount, which is set for release June 24. Let's hope they do a nice different take than a Michael Bay story. So I'm keen.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like 50-50 about a Valzod series or movie, just because like he doesn't have a lot of it's like a Morbius. It's, like there's not a lot about him to introduce him to people. Like if maybe they did, like if there was like more comics with him in it or something else more mainstream, it'd be cool. Honestly, in a perfect world, I'd rather they make a movie with milestone characters.
Yes.
But
well, I mean, they are working on a Static movie.
Right, but I mean, Static is one of the most popular characters.
Yeah.
Just in general, let alone just popular like black character. But Milestone is largely black characters and their own special like original characters, as opposed to just Superman 2.
Yeah.
World 2. And nothing against it. Like maybe it'll be a banger, but I don't know. I just feel like there's just not enough there. And it's what's gonna do it for me is how good it looks and then how well they promote it. Because no matter how good a damn movie looks, if you don't bother to promote it, no one's gonna watch it, and then that always ends up being nobody wants to support this kind of change. And it's not, no one wants to support it. No one knew the damn thing existed.
Yeah. No, I can see that. Like anything with any kind of content, it all comes down to the execution. Yeah. Are they going to make something really good and people are going to watch? And are they going to tell people that it's good?
Yeah, basically.
Flareon, so what age do you recommend watching this movie? So Flareon, I don't know which movie you're talking about. The last movie we referenced was Three Body Problem is a series. I guess this is a series because it's being done by television. So a little more clarity, Flareon. What are you asking? Which movie you're asking about? All right, our next trailer. Cowboy Bebop, folks. It dropped actually right before our last show. Like, I think it was minutes before last Tuesday's show. So we didn't get a chance to include it in last Tuesday. So this is the one that's been out there longest for people to take a look at and ruminate over. I absolutely loved it. That probably shouldn't be a big surprise to anybody, but boy, did I get a kick out of this trailer.
I loved all their trailers, all of them. I think it's gonna hit it out of the park. The only thing that where's Ed? That's what everyone's asking. Where's Ed?
Yep, I agree 100%. Even in that picture, we've got Ein the corgi right there. No Ed. No indication of the existence of Ed at all in any of the stuff they've put out up to this point. Flareon, yeah, what happened to Godzilla in 1998? I really don't know. I'm not really sure what you're asking, Flareon. So Cowboy Bebop, if you're a fan at all, go check out this trailer. I know there are fans of the anime who still don't like this live action adaptation just because it's a live action adaptation, I guess.
Well, they don't gotta fucking watch it.
Exactly.
Because like I've reached that point in my life where I'm just like, whatever, like so many people dislike things without even giving it a shot or giving it a thing. They just see one or two things and they're like, I don't like it just because. Like, okay, contrarian, do you don't gotta watch it. But you also conversely don't need to talk about it and remind everyone how much you dislike something you've never seen.
Exactly. Thank you, Mr. Edgelord. We'll be moving on. November 19th. I can't wait. And for anybody who is on the fence, go watch this trailer. The interaction between Spike and Faye, well, all three of them, but particularly Spike and Faye, is spot on. He constantly threatens to shoot her because she's constantly screwing up their plans, and she constantly just literally lets that slide right off of her. Never once concerned that Spike is actually going to do it.
Yeah,
they nailed it.
They look great. They look great. I think there's adaptations, live action adaptations made in Japan are usually pretty solid for the most part. This is more of a Netflix one, and I think it's doing good. And if this is the bar, if a lot of people think that this is the bare minimum, then this bare minimum is pretty damn high already.
Yep. I get it, Flareon. Okay, yeah, that's what happened in Godzilla 1998. The movie came out and people said, that they hated it. Yeah, it's possible. You look at the cast and the people behind the cast and the people behind Godzilla 1998, and you would expect it to be pretty impressive. And an awful lot of people just went, yeah, nope, not my Godzilla.
Is that the Matthew Broderick one?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I like that one.
I do too.
Again, I'm very open to movies and adaptions and interpretations. I know officially speaking, he's not considered canon, they are not considered canon anymore.
Yeah.
Because there's the U.S. Godzilla and then there's the Japanese Godzilla, and the parent company actually made that distinction that's not Godzilla.
Yep.
But whatever, man. If you know what, Flareon, if you liked it, that's it, man. You enjoyed it. It was Fifth Element when it first came out. It barely made shit in terms of money, and now it's a cult classic.
Yep.
Ghostbusters, cult classics, barely made shit in the box office.
Yep. Yeah, and that could happen to any of the other stuff that we've been talking about up to this point. All right, we're gonna stick with animation adaptations. And this just dropped, and it's like, really? Um, they're working on a live action. Sony Pictures is working on a live action adaptation of the manga Gantz.
Now, wasn't there a Japanese live
Yes, there was a
action?
Japanese live action. This is from Gantz Zero, which was a Japanese CGI sort of separate independent story.
That's also on Netflix. I think I watched that one and I was like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, yeah, everyone looks great. I don't know what's happening.
If you've not seen the Gantz anime adaptation or read any of the manga, yeah, it's really difficult to try to figure out what's going on with Gantz Zero. That was made for Gantz fans. But and this is a single source Deadline story. Again, I trust Deadline with these, but so that means it's technically a rumor. But that Julius Avery will be directing it. He is the guy who directed the Nazi zombie movie Overlord. And apparently on the strength of that, he was tapped to do the adaptation of Bullet Train, which has like everybody in the world associated with it in the cast. Brad Pitt, Michael Shannon, Joey King, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Brian Tyree Henry, Sandra Bullock. And that's an adaptation of a Japanese novel. So,
all right. I saw the Overlord movie and I was like, this is okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I didn't think it was anything. Honestly, I would have taken, what was that movie? Red Snow? I think it was called. Like that.
Oh, Red Sky.
No. That you're thinking of Iron Sky, but I'm not thinking of Iron Sky. There's this movie someone made about zombie Nazis found in ice and like necromancy. There's a lot to go into, but I think Dead Snow. That's what it's called. Dead Snow. It's campy as hell, but I would give it a tiny half notch over Overlord because Overlord tried to take itself way too serious.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting to see. So if you don't know anything about Gantz, it's the story of a couple of friends who get actually killed in a subway accident, but wind up being somehow resurrected in this. It's not really an afterlife. It's sort of an in-between where they have to play a game in which they, wearing these fantastic black plug suits, fight against these demonic, other dimensional alien, it's never really terribly clear, horrible things that are attacking various cities in Japan. And the game sends them to different places in Tokyo or in Gantz Zero is set in, it's not Hiroshima, but it's somewhere down in that end of the island kind of area. And it's incredibly violent. The monsters are terrifying for the most part. The characters are pretty realistic in that they're not necessarily always good or bad, and the bad ones are pretty bad. So there's a lot of stuff this is a hard R series. And it would have to probably be toned down in any sort of American-made adaptation.
Yeah, agreed. Because from what I remember of the movie, it was pretty violent, very, very bloody, very, very weirdly rapey, but not rapey.
Yeah, except the not part disappears in the manga.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise.
I know when I watched it later on, I asked a friend of mine who's into it, and they were like, they kind of directed me to the wiki where it said it was about an alien invasion and people who died were resurrected because they were missing from society again because they're dead, so they can fight in this game, and the game is for them to test them and yada yada yada, and none of that is explained in the fucking movie. And I'm just like, you gave them weird guns to fight these awful aliens.
Frankly, that it isn't even technically accurate because one of the rewards of playing the game is that they actually get to go back to the living world. So it's not like they've been completely erased from it. It's it's weird. You know, it's super
I just kind of think of it like World of Tomorrow, kind of, where they're just like, we're gonna blip you out of this moment in time to use you for what we need you to use, and then you can come back.
Yeah, that works. Flare, I like anime, but I can see some weird stuff or so weird stuff. Yeah, if you like anime, we every other Monday, so last night was one of them. We do a show called Anime Octane, where we talk about a recent anime, generally a recent anime product. Last night's was about SSSS Dyna Xenon, which was from this spring. So check it out, Monday nights, 8 o'clock. You know, you might like that show. Every other Monday night. All right, and again, this is, you know, all brand new, even not confirmed by Sony or anybody, so no idea of a date or what have you, and, you know, what might happen to it down the road. So we'll keep an eye out on this Gantz adaptation. If nothing else, I'm pretty keen to see where they take this. I mean, the guy did Overlord, and, you know, there's a lot of blood and zombies in Overlord, so.
Yeah, and honestly, like, even PG-13 has, like, blood. It's just how you, like, creatively present that blood is their thing.
Yeah. All right. Next trailer.
So they're to answer your question, Flare, they're like like alien monsters. They're not giants.
I mean, some of them are gigantic.
Some of them are big, yes, but they're not all giants. They might be giants in old New York.
They might be giants. Nice reference. Great band. That image that's been sitting up there is from the most recent trailer to Wheel of Time, which dropped this last week. It looks absolutely fantastic. It's way more involving and exciting than the original trailer. The last trailer was pretty good. This really gets me.
Is this a tie-in? Maybe I'm thinking of two different things. This is like a tie-in to that Idris Elba cowboy movie.
No.
Where he was like, no,
that was The Dark Tower.
Okay, I get these things confused all the time. They just all run on the same high fantasy sci-fi.
So I think the reason you might get these confused is because The Dark Tower by Stephen King is a gazillion and 7 books. I can't remember how many, but it's a lot. And Wheel of Time is 18 at this point or something. Somebody in a chat check me on that, but it's well over a dozen. And continuing because after Robert Jordan passed away, his wife and estate, they actually found people who they want to work with and continue to tell the story.
Ghostwriters.
Yeah. So it's, you know, it's an amazingly deep bit of content and lore to draw from. But it looks really cool. Again, haven't read the series. So,
God damn it, Greg, where are you?
Damn it, Greg. I don't know that Greg has read. I think he said he read 1 or 1.5 and couldn't really make it much past that. It's a pretty dense, lore-filled series.
So Dune.
Yeah, kind of, basically.
Dune does a great job of holding up the rest of my bookcase over there.
I no longer have a copy. I have actually destroyed 2 hardbound copies of Dune by reading them too much. So it shows an awful lot more of the world, particularly the magic world that Moraine comes from. It starts off with her, you know, being administered her oath as a member of the Aes Sedai, and just it goes from there. You finally get to see some of the forces of the Dark One. These sort of minotaur-like demonic things, you know, the big archdemon from Doom, except not red but hairy, is probably the closest thing you can think of the way this thing looks. It's pretty awesome. So looking forward to that. And again, this is, you know, November's just gonna suck for all of us that are gonna have to try to write reviews of all this stuff. November 19th is when it first starts on Amazon. So
dun dun dun. Good job with that, Rodney. You get that article ready for us.
Exactly. Not that, I mean, it's not like we're expecting any from anybody else or anything. Side eye.
Well, I was drinking out of my water bottle, so I didn't see anything.
I didn't catch that reference. All right. Now we've got actually a couple of trailers in a row just because there's so many trailers. Masters of the Universe Revelation Part 2 dropped its trailer. And I'm going to say right out of the gate, well, first off, it makes me very excited to see this second half, which is also coming in November, right? November 23rd. But I don't watch the trailer, folks. The trailer, as far as I can tell, unless they're going to throw some unbelievable curves at us, gives away every major development of the second part.
Yeah. Even kind of that image a little bit, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's you can't watch the trailer without seeing like 100 spoilers. So
yep. It is just ridiculously spoiler filled. Yeah, so I would trust us. If you like the first part, you're gonna like the second part. But if you want lots of cool surprises that don't get ruined by the spoiler or by the trailer, don't watch the trailer.
It is. It is phenomenal. I don't want to send you the wrong way. Like if you're a person that can tolerate spoilers like I am, it is a fantastic trailer. You get to see what you think you're going to see. It's hype train 100%. Everything goes from zero to a 10 really quick, and it definitely is a Tila show.
Yes.
But otherwise, like, it's fantastic. Just take our word for it. Look at some still images. At the very least, look at some still images, but do yourself a favor. If you don't like spoilers, do not watch that trailer.
Or turn on the trailer and then close your eyes just so you can listen to Mark Hamill. I think he's even better in just the little clips that I've heard in this trailer as Skeletor than he was in the first.
He was made for that. He was made for that role.
Absolutely. Man. It's so good. Flareon, I'm learning so much information. Awesome. That's why we do this show.
And monetization, but also that show.
Well, yes. And to try to make money off YouTube. All right. Book of Boba Fett, folks, finally dropped an actual trailer. Honestly, it expands a little bit out on what you got to see from that last image at the, when they teased it at the end of the last episode of The Mandalorian. But not a lot more. It pretty much shows you a little bit about how Boba Fett winds up sitting on Jabba's throne. But mostly what it does is it really gives you a sense of how they're going to expand out the world building of, a post-Jabba, post-Empire Tatooine. And that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Just because there's been quite a few Star Wars post destruction of the Death Star things, but we've only ever seen it from like the rebellion angle or the Jedi angle, whatever. We never really see it from the mundane angle, from the day-to-day criminals, scallywags, and vigilantes that encompass a lot of the fringe. And understand that this is the Outer Rim territories of the galaxy, so it's cowboy world, and Tatooine especially is the main cowboy world. And seeing this is interesting. And I guess if you're watching the trailer, I guess Bib Fortuna's fate has changed from what it was originally in the book, which sucks, I guess, for me, because I kind of like that he got his comeuppance that way. But if you want to know, look it up, or ask and I'll tell you. But whatever. But and it looks good. And like someone made actually a really funny point in that in The Mandalorian he had no eyebrows, but in his own show he has eyebrows, and that's because he's next to the phenomenal Ming-Na, and you got to have your eyebrows on your point when you're next to her. because she doesn't age.
Absolutely. I take a second to appreciate the fact that we're going to get a series with two leads, a Maori, Tamora Morrison, and a Chinese American, Ming-Na Wen. That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Because realistically, this all happened in a galaxy a long time ago and a far, far, far away. These people who look like humans aren't Earth humans. They can be whatever race they look like, color, anything. There is zero reason for anybody in the Star Wars universe to be any particular ethnic look or color whatsoever. So good on you guys for doing this. Good on you, Disney, Lucasfilm.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. And people better lay off of his weight, man, because y'all some assholes pointing that shit out.
It does look like two things. One, he may have lost weight for the series, and two, and or they redesigned his armor.
They definitely did a redesign. One of our friends was a part of that redesign.
Yes, that would be the friend who also made purple Mandalorian armor for Snoop Dogg recently.
Yeah. Flareon, definitely see the first half of He-Man if you're into that. It's great.
Yep. Now that's Masters of the Universe Revelation, which is the 2D animated one. The 3D animated one, Masters of the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, is actually not bad. It's geared towards tweens, but for that audience, it's actually really good. So, if that's what you're into, check that one out too. Both of them on Netflix.
I think they're gonna bring back IG-88. I hope so.
Oh, wouldn't that be great? I mean, I don't, because that would minimize his. I mean, it's a spoiler for season 1, but
Well, you don't have to say because we both know, but
right.
In the expanded universe, there was 5 IG-88s. They all had shared the same component, same database.
Oh, cool.
There was 5 IG-88s and 1 IG-79, I want to say, and that one had a different outward or inward configuration. So it's potential that it could exist yet again.
Yeah, that would be cool. I would like that. I would also like to see just completely lost his name. Justified. Anyway, who's in the second season of Mandalorian as the sheriff, who winds up getting.
Who had the Mando armor?
Yeah, who had the Mando armor.
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but yeah, he was really cool.
I would love to see that character come back as well, played by that actor.
I don't see why not, because he's from Tatooine.
Yep. So. December 29th, by the way, folks. November, December is going to be insane. Can't wait. Here's something. I guess this literally gave me chills. This is an image grab from the trailer for the upcoming Pixar movie Lightyear, which is kind of like the Buzz Lightyear. Was it Buzz Lightyear? Star Commando, Space Ranger,
Star Command,
Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, which was the animated series that looked at the backstory of the toy of Buzz Lightyear as though it was, you were animating whatever his lore was. This is the origin story of Buzz as a new astronaut before he's even really joined Star Command. And it's awesome. Go watch this trailer, folks.
Somebody was like, here's a toy version of this, and then we made a toy animated series of this, and now we're gonna make a animated series of what if this toy was actually a real person and actually did all this real stuff that was toy lore in the back of the toy box.
Exactly. That's the idea that it seems to be going with, and I love it. this article on The Verge calls they make a comparison to sort of, I think, Star Wars, because yeah, Star Wars style sci-fi adventure with cool spaceships and futuristic alien worlds. Nope. The tone of this is, and you people are probably going to laugh at me for the tone of this is the right stuff. This gives you the feel of the awe and majesty of first going into space. Now, obviously, these people, this society has been in space and in interstellar worlds for a while, but this is Buzz's story of the first time going into space and being part of this Star Command, and it feels like the movie The Right Stuff. You know, and again, I don't want to hype this too much, but I got chills watching this thing.
Definitely looks fantastic. I'll point out one stupid ass thing that bothered me. Just one. Everyone has to give me this one. I don't care how goofy or serious you're trying to be. You're literally not going to fly a spaceship that close to the sun. I don't give a shit, man. The sun is not an ocean that you're going to spread flames around as you're whipping past it.
So there's a couple of science fiction, hard science fiction books written by scientists that you probably wouldn't want to read then. Sundiver by David Brin, The Mote in God's Eye by Jerry Pournelle and Larry Niven.
Listen, they're all wrong. No one gets that close to the sun without burning up unless they have some stoic technology from 5 billion years into the future or something like that, whereupon Buzz is just stepping out into the future in a ship that looks like it takes like unleaded regular. So
I'll agree with that. I really like the kind of retro sci-fi look and design of the ships, you know, in his early period. Although it does have it does harken back to the later on designs of the ship he was flying on as a member of Star Command, as a, what they called them, Space Rangers.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
something like that.
But anyway, check it out, folks. And Chris Evans doing the voice of the young Buzz Lightyear. June 17th, 2022 also. So we don't have that long to wait for this. So, all right. Before we get to our last trailer, you know, here's more news about Activision Blizzard.
Yay. All this great news, and then this.
There's that is the CEO, Bobby Kotick, the billionaire CEO of Activision Blizzard. And the news is that they put out a release. Well, they put out a letter to employees. That, of course, got leaked and then released. And in it, they state that Activision Blizzard will start employing a zero-tolerance harassment policy. They will waive arbitration in sexual harassment and discrimination cases or claims. And that Kotick himself will take a pay cut down to $62,500 a year in total compensation. And it says, until the board of directors feels certain diversity, equity, and inclusion goals are met. To give you an idea, he made $155 million last year. So a lot of times this, you know, cut in salary is a dodge, because most of these guys don't make their money in salary. They make their money in stock options. This uses the term total compensation, and that is a financial term in the business world that includes every compensation. When you say total compensation, that means all the stock options, shares that are already currently vested that might be given to him, anything, and salary in that package. So if they are not lying and using this accurate financial term incorrectly, that means he's not going to make anything other than less than what I made a few years ago per year. So good on them.
Here's a wild concept. If he's going to make, well, you said 65,000?
62.5.
62.5. So you have your 62.5 here, and you have what he normally made. Why don't you take that big ass gap and compensate the victims with that money, and then also insert some of that money into charities that deal with that sort of shit. And conversely, also remove your arbitration policies away from everything instead of just those two things. I know those are the two serious things, but your arbitration policy is just made for your corporate bullshit anyways to protect yourselves. If you really want to be inclusive and all of that other shit, remove your binding arbitration policy to begin with. Get rid of that shit. Take the rest of his salary, put it where it needs to go, not back into your damn coffers. Because you're just gonna bump up his, as soon as he meets his arbitrary goals, you're gonna bump him up and wipe the slate clean.
Yep. I've said this before. I said this when they announced this on Twitter. If you work for a company that forces you to arbitrate claims that otherwise would wind up in court, don't work for that company. That is an evil company. That's a company that is trying to keep you from using the American judicial system in the way it's intended to correct the wrongs that the company might be doing. It's straight up wrong. There's no other way around it. And to your point about that gap in between the 155 million last year and the 62.5 that he's supposedly going to be making this year, well, we know it's not going to go to game developers. They just announced a couple of hours before we went on that the two games, Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4, have now been delayed indefinitely. They have taken any possible date off of any material and have said, while we are still planning to deliver a substantial amount of content from Blizzard next year, we are now planning for a later launch for Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 than originally envisaged, and there is no set date or even time frame for when that might come out. So I'm guessing that 154 and 37.5 million is going to go to lawyers.
Yeah, absolutely. They're gonna have to. You know, like when you foster a business model and like a workspace like that, you have no one to blame but yourself. You can use the boys will be boys bullshit all you want. That shit don't protect yourself legally from anything.
Yep. And it shouldn't. And it shouldn't. You shouldn't try to force the people who are victims of that particular behavior to sit down at a desk with an arbitrator, instead of taking you to court.
Yo, it personally, it always blows my fucking mind that if your HR showed like the tiniest bit of fucking empathy instead of trying to protect yourself, you showed the smallest bit of empathy and pursued these things as you legally are obliged to do, then you wouldn't have these fucking big ass lawsuits. But you're so keen on protecting yourself and refusing to hold the people who are accountable. Then you're not gonna fucking sit there and be like, I don't know why everybody's coming after us for not doing the things that we're supposed to do. We did our best. We wrote a report that says that something happened and then we swept it under the rug. No, motherfucker, you're accountable for that shit.
Yeah. Now, apparently there are rumors that there is a great deal of foment over there at
Blizzard, Activision.
No, the French. Damn it! I should have looked this up. I completely lost it. Assassin's Creed.
Oh, Ubisoft.
Which has its own horrible problems. People have been fired, etc. There are apparently people in that workspace that are starting to really look at how Activision seemingly, I mean, they settled one case already with the feds. They have agreed to a lot of these, recommendations that came from an actual employee group at Activision Blizzard. Whether or not they go through with them completely, we'll have to see. But they've at least accepted the idea that they're going to try. So, fingers crossed that the folks at Ubisoft kick some ass.
And good on California for stepping up and doing what they needed to do for the constituents. Good on them for fighting that fight, because the regular person don't have that power to fight like that. But a whole ass state putting a boot across your neck, hell yeah.
Yep. All right, enough of that. We'll keep following this, obviously, but last story on a good note. Last trailer, The Witcher 2 dropped a second trailer, and I was all for this. The look of Kaer Morhen is fantastic. You get to see more and different beasts. At the end of the trailer, they're attacked by a Leshen. And as I said in our group, man, can you tell that Netflix is putting Netflix money behind this now that it's a monster hit. It just looks, the production values look so much better, which were pretty good in the first season.
Yeah.
Like another level in this trailer.
And not for nothing, for somebody who's never really played a Witcher game or know much about the lore, I went into the first season like with that mentality of being the outsider who doesn't really know shit about shit. And I was like enthralled, man. Like I don't even need to play the video game to like figure it all out, because it was done in such a way that I didn't feel like I was like, is this game zero? I was like, hey, I get it. This dude does this, people do that. This is what's happening. This motherfucker's gonna get the shit slapped out of him in 2 seconds. Like I got it all really quickly, and I don't know anything about Witcher.
Yeah. That's really good, because there are a lot of people, including people on our team, who had a very hard time following the time jumps that happen before we finally get the two storylines of Ciri.
That is true. There wasn't enough of a cue to tell you when it was past and present, but after a while, I kind of got it. But at the beginning, though, I was kind of like, what?
Same here. It took me a while, but probably with only 4 or 5 episodes left, I went, oh, okay, I see where they're going. But then again, I've played The Witcher 3, and I've read an awful lot of supporting material about the world, the books, and so on. So kudos to you for following along with that. It's really exciting looking. And again, the end of December is just going to freaking kill us here. This is middle of December, this one, December 17th. The magic effects look even a little bit better. It's just awesome. If you're a fan at all, go watch it. And that's it, folks. That's our show. Let's see. This Thursday, we will be doing Full Fat Spoiler Chat and Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2. So it's a spoilery show. It's in the name. So if you've seen it or you don't mind spoilers, check us out Thursday. Next Monday is No Nerd Caliber, and I should have looked up what the topic is, but I don't know. But we'll tell you later. And then, of course, Nerd Week Live next Tuesday. If you get a chance, folks, in addition to the Twitch requests that we put out earlier in the show, if you get a chance to go to patreon.com/nerdcaliber and at least look at our 3 different tiers, our first support tier is only $2. We're looking to basically have people help us get to cons and create more content now that cons are, Knock Desktop coming back moderately safely. We want to get back out there to more and more of them and get that content out there. Kineticon video just went up late last week. And so go check that out on, if you're watching on YouTube, on this YouTube channel. If you're watching on any of the other platforms, on YouTube.
Brought to you by Manny Ortiz and myself.
Our Kineticon team this year, and thank you very much. And that's it, folks. Lewis, did you have a could we please or could we not?
I'll give you a very little one, because I ran into this very quickly when I quit my last job. People, whatever state you live in or whatever country you live in, learn your labor laws. I'm not joking. You're empowered as a person and as a person who works within these laws to do certain things. Don't let companies tell you different, that you can't do some shit when the law itself defends you in those aspects. I can't tell you how many times, and specifically in this instance, when I quit my previous job, that I was told that I needed to put in 2 weeks because it was mandated that I needed to do 2 weeks. I don't need to put in 2 weeks in an at-will state. You should know that. I can just quit. I can quit, walk out the door for the same reason the company doesn't need to provide me 2 weeks when they're terminating me.
Yep.
Learn those things.
Absolutely. And the only other thing, getting sort of back to the Activision Blizzard, also, if you did sign a contract, make sure you read your contract and
Absolutely.
how that interacts with the labor laws in your state. Good
And
point.
your handbook.
All right, folks, that's it. Lewis, give us a goodbye.
Thanks again for everyone who was in the chat, who threw out some questions, who participated. We're always appreciative of that. Once again, I'm a co-producer with Nerd Caliber, Louis Correa, also Crash the Stampede on Twitch. I'm going to be on my friend's stream tonight when Fandom Strikes, playing some Back for Blood with them. So if you want to pop over, check that out. It's When Fandom Strikes. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time.
And before I say goodnight, Flarion's last question, how long would it take you to watch every single Netflix series? I have absolutely no idea. I bet some person with way too much time and awesome math skills probably figured this out. You can probably go to Google and find out as of whatever date they did it, because obviously Netflix adds stuff every week. Right. But anyway, on that very interesting question, thank you, folks. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in an upcoming show. Please, everybody,